The moment my mom said, "You're not half the woman your sister is," the whole room froze. Even the clock on the wall seemed to stop ticking. Her words didn't just sting. They ignited something inside me I thought had long died. I looked up, calm, almost detached, and said softly, "Then maybe she can start paying your rent." The room erupted in silence. Chairs scraped. Forks clattered. My dad's face turned paper white. "Rent," he whispered. "What rent?" That was the night 3 years of silence cracked open. But trust me, the truth didn't start there. It began long before. With one desperate phone call I'll never forget. Before I tell you how it all unfolded, tap like, and tell me where you're listening from. Because I need to know. Have you ever had to draw a line with family? Just to keep your sanity? My name is Lily Hart. I'm 28. And from the outside, my life looks steady. Stable income, clean apartment, predictable routines. I manage finances for a logistics firm near Portland Harbor, where numbers always balance and rules actually make sense. I wish families worked that way too. Every Friday night, I drive 30 minutes to my parents' house in the suburbs. It's our tradition since college, a family dinner. But really it's an unspoken contract. No one's allowed to skip it. If I say I'm tired, Mom calls until I answer. If I ignore it, Dad texts, "This family has a seat for you. Don't leave it empty." So I go. Same house. Same smells. Mom's roast chicken. Dad's cologne. Ava's perfume, that sweet, expensive kind that lingers long after her hugs fade. And lining the staircase? Ava's entire highlight reel. Ava at law school graduation. Ava winning another award. Ava smiling next to my parents. My degree? Somewhere in the hallway. Near the laundry room. At the table, the conversation always circles around her. Ava just won a big case. Ava bought new furniture. Ava might make partner next year. Dad's eyes light up when she talks, like she's narrating a fairy tale. Mom laughs too loudly, touching Ava's hand like it's a trophy. When their attention shifts to me, it's only to compare. "You've always been the quiet one, Lily." Or, "You were never as ambitious as your sister." But that's okay. I nod. Sip my wine. Pretend it doesn't bother me. But it does. Every word hits like a paper cut you can't stop feeling. Because what they don't know is, while they were bragging about Ava's success, I was quietly saving them from losing everything. I stayed up late nights crunching numbers, transferring money from my account, to keep their house from foreclosure. They never noticed. They never asked. They just assumed I was fine. Because I never complained. They called me the calm one. The responsible one. The one who doesn't need attention. But even the quiet ones have breaking points. And mine was coming. Fast. It started 3 winters ago. A freezing night where the wind cut straight through my coat. I just finished a 12-hour shift when my phone lit up. Mom. She never called that late. So I answered instantly. Her voice was shaking. "Lily, your dad lost a major contract. If we missed the next payment, we could lose the house. Can you help us? Just this once." I didn't even think. Family first, right? The next morning, I transferred the money. Mom called crying, thanking me through sobs. She promised they'd pay me back once things stabilized. I believed her. But once became twice. Then 3 times. Every month, the same text. "Just this month, sweetheart. Next month will be better." And every time, I said yes. Eventually, I stopped counting. I even set up an automatic transfer so I wouldn't have to think about it. It was easier to bleed quietly than to say no. But I wasn't just sending money. I was sending away pieces of my future. When friends invited me on trips, I said I was busy. When my landlord raised the rent, I didn't move. I told myself, it's temporary. Because families help each other, right? Until one day, I saw the number on my screen. $72,000. My cursor hovered, blinking. That was my down payment. My dream home. My independence gone. And what stung the most wasn't the money. It was the silence. No one ever said thank you. Not once. At dinner, my dad still toasted to Ava's wins. Mom still bragged about her new clients. And I sat there quietly, knowing I'd been the one keeping their lights on. Then one night, Mom texted again. "Can you help just this once, sweetheart?" I stared at the screen, then opened my banking app, found the automatic transfer, and hit cancel. A small message popped up. Are you sure? Clicked yes. And just like that, the weight of 3 years shifted off my shoulders. I didn't realize it then. But that single click was the beginning of my revenge. Not the loud kind, but the kind built on truth, proof, and finally being seen. That night after I stopped the transfer, I sat alone at my kitchen table, staring at the soft glow of my laptop. My hands shook uncontrollably. For 3 long years I had measured my value by those payments. Every dollar was a token, a proof that I was dependable, a good daughter. Without them, who was I? But as the minutes passed, a strange lightness settled over me. For the first time, I wasn't the invisible safety net holding everyone else together. I was simply me, tired, broke, but finally unburdened. The next morning, I woke before dawn and jogged along the Willamette River. Mist hovered above the water, cold and sharp against my face. My lungs burned, but it wasn't pain, it was release. Each stride peeled away the weight I had carried since that first desperate call. From that day onward, I began rebuilding my life. Not for anyone else, but for myself. On Thursdays, I joined a modest cooking class at the community center downtown. It wasn't glamorous, but it gave me something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. Nobody there knew about Ava or my parents, or the 3 years I had spent maintaining a house that wasn't mine. They knew only Lily, the woman who loved simmering soups and always charred the first batch of bread. At work, I immersed myself in projects. Numbers remained my language, but now they had meaning. My boss noticed. One evening, after staying late to run reports, he paused at my desk. You have a keen eye, he said. You notice things others miss. That simple compliment lingered longer than any praise my parents had ever offered. Perhaps because it was genuine, perhaps because I had earned it. 2 months later, a fintech startup in Seattle reached out, seeking someone to lead their new financial analysis team. The offer was beyond my imagination. 40% more pay plus company shares. I didn't hesitate. I signed the contract, packed my Portland apartment, and moved. Seattle felt like shedding my old skin. The air was crisp, the skyline unfamiliar, yet thrilling. My new apartment was small, sleek, and entirely mine. No shadows reached me here. Still, some nights I sat on the floor, surrounded by old folders, proof of every transfer, every receipt, every message that began with, "Just this once." I couldn't discard them, not yet. Deep down, I knew this wasn't the end. One day the truth would knock, and I would meet it armed with facts, not tears. 6 months after relocating, I thought the chapter was closed. New city, new job, new peace. Then one morning my phone buzzed. A message from Mrs. Whitaker, my parents' elderly neighbor back in Portland, read, "Hi dear, I thought you should see this." Attached was a photo. A bright banner stretched across my parents' porch. Bold red letters declared, "Congratulations, Ava Hart, for preserving the family home." My chest tightened. I blinked. I zoomed in. The words didn't change. The house I had kept afloat for 3 years was now her triumph. They hadn't just ignored my effort, they had erased me entirely. I sat in silence as the city buzzed around me. Then something inside me shifted. Not anger, clarity. I opened the drawer beneath my desk and retrieved the folder I had kept all this time. Payment logs, bank statements, screenshots of every message, every record proving my sacrifice. I had built my life on proof. Now it was time to wield it. That night, I compiled everything into a single file, truth. Habit or instinct, I wasn't sure. But I knew the day would come when it mattered. Came sooner than I expected. One evening, my cousin Nina called. "Hey Lily. Just a heads up. Your parents are hosting a family appreciation dinner this weekend. They're honoring Ava for saving the house." I stayed silent. "They want you to make the slideshow," she added softly. "Do you want to see it?" Moments later, the file arrived. Pictures of Ava grinned back at me from the porch, captions glowing with gratitude. "Thank you for keeping our family's fire alive." I scrolled to the final slide. Bold, shining letters acknowledged Ava Hart, the daughter who had saved the home. Disgust settled over me. Then I opened my own file, the one labeled Truth. For hours, I worked quietly, replacing the final slides with transfer timelines, monthly payment charts, and screenshots of my mother's messages that began with "just this once." I concluded with a single, unadorned photo of the house, captioned simply, This was my contribution. Don't forget it. I saved it 3 times. On my laptop, a USB drive, and the cloud. This time there could be no distortion, no rewriting of history. Saturday night arrived. The dinner was set in downtown Seattle. I didn't RSVP. I simply walked in. The restaurant was warm, bustling, filled with laughter. My father stood near the center, microphone in hand, pride radiating from him. The pride I had once craved. But this time I carried something stronger than longing or anger. I carried proof. And for the first time in years that was enough. My mother sat beside him, pearls catching the light, while Ava shimmered in an emerald dress. She looked exactly as I remembered, flawless, untouchable. I lingered in the doorway unseen, until my father's voice cut through the hum of conversation. We are so lucky to have a daughter like Ava. She's preserved our home, our legacy. Applause filled the room. My fingers tightened around the tiny USB hidden in my pocket. As the slideshow began, I stayed near the back wall watching. Images of our family home, holidays, and Ava cutting the ribbon at her law firm filled the large screen. Laughter and clinking glasses surrounded me. My parents beamed, untouchable in their perfect world. Then the final slide appeared. But it wasn't Nino's version anymore. Silence descended. Bold black text spread across the screen. Financial contributions, 2020 to 2023. A soft murmur moved through the crowd. I stepped forward, my heels clicking against the hardwood. My father froze mid-smile. My mother gripped her glass so tightly her knuckles turned white. 36 payments, 1 per month. Total, $72,000. Messages displayed. Sweetheart, just this month. We'll handle the next. The whispers grew louder. I stopped near the projector, calm, heart steady. If the truth embarrasses you, I said softly, that's not my fault. For a heartbeat, no one moved. Then from the back, a single clap echoed, followed by another and another until the entire room joined. Faces froze in shock. Others nodded in quiet approval. My father's face went pale. My mother opened her mouth, but no words came. Ava's eyes shimmered, her lips quivering. For 3 years, I continued, voice steady. $72,000. Every month, while you praised my sister for her accomplishments, I was funding this family's home. You didn't just forget. You acted as if it never happened. My father stammered. We never asked. You didn't have to, I cut in. You just let me. You built your pride on silence. Mine. Not anymore. I unplugged the USB and slipped it into my bag. All eyes followed me as I turned toward the exit. My mother whispered my name. A soft, pleading sound, but I didn't pause. Outside, the night air hit me. Sharp, clean, honest. For the first time, the ground beneath me felt real. Behind me, muffled voices argued. Their world of half-truths crumbled under its own weight. I walked to my car, my reflection briefly catching in the glass door. The woman staring back no longer looked invisible. She looked free. Perhaps that was the only justice I'd ever needed. 2 days later, a gentle knock woke me. At the door I froze. My parent stood there, her eyes swollen. His shoulders hunched as if years had been carved into him overnight. I opened the door but didn't step aside immediately. Silence hung between us, heavy, impossible to ignore. Finally, my mother spoke, voice trembling. Lily, we're sorry. We were wrong. We shouldn't have stayed silent. We shouldn't have let Ava take the credit. We want to put your name on the house deed. You deserve it. For a moment, I just stared at the 2 people I had spent years trying to please. Once those words would have shattered me. But now, standing in my own apartment, surrounded by the quiet I had built for myself, I realized I didn't need their apology to feel complete. I have a home now, I said gently. I don't need that one anymore. My father's throat worked, my mother's lips trembled. There was so much left unsaid, so much that could never undo the past. I never needed a deed, I added softly. I just needed respect. For the first time they both nodded. Not out of defense, not out of denial, but with understanding. That strangely was enough. When they left, I stood by the window, watching city lights shimmer across the water. Outside, the world felt calm, ordered, like numbers finally adding up. For the first time in years, I wasn't the quiet daughter or the overlooked one. I was simply Lily, seen, steady, free. That night, on my balcony overlooking the Seattle skyline, A glass of wine in hand, I reflected on everything. The dinners, the comparisons, the years I spent trying to earn love I was supposed to receive freely. And then I understood. My worth was never up for debate. It was never measured by their praise or Ava's accolades. It was in every moment I persevered when no one noticed, every quiet act of strength that went unrecognized. I glanced at the folder still resting on my desk, the proof that once defined me, and smiled. I didn't need it anymore. The truth had done its work. So if you've ever felt invisible, remember this. Silence isn't weakness, and walking away isn't losing. Sometimes it's the only way to win.